The last part of lesson 39 deals with ratios again. We did some ratio problems yesterday. Here we're just going to be adding a third row to what we used to call ratio boxes. We didn't write them in boxes yesterday, but we could have. For example, if we took a problem like yesterday and put them in ratio boxes instead of just writing them as fractions, we could have said the ratio of, change my pen here, the ratio of red marbles to blue marbles is 5 to 7, so R, B, and we could have drawn these boxes and said this is showing the ratio of red to blue, which we know is 5 to 7 because that's what it tells us. And then it says if there were 14 blue marbles, how many red marbles would there be? So we'd put the 14 here and say this is our unknown. This is what we're trying to find. And we treat this like a ratio. And we use cross products. Yesterday, again, we didn't write it like this. We just wrote, oh, it's 5 over 7 equals R over 14. It's the same thing, organized the same way. But the important thing to remember is that we're going to set up an equation. And we know that if these are equal, the numerator times the denominator will equal the denominator times the numerator. 5 times 10 is 50, plus 5 times 4 is 20. 50 plus 20 is 70, 7R. Divide by 7, divide by 7. R equals 10. So yesterday we didn't draw ratio boxes, we just wrote them as fractions, but we could have. Today we'll start by drawing the ratio box, and we're going to add a third column, a total column. Here we could have said if there were 5 red marbles to every 7 blue marbles, we might have said 5 out of 12 are red. So the red to total would be 5 out of 12. Or we could have said 7 out of every 12, if the ratio is 5 to 7. Could have said that 7 out of every 12 were blue. So we had a total column, and we could then find out, basically, if we had the ratio 5 to 7, we could find out, for example, how many blue marbles would there be if there were 100 red marbles. And that's what we're going to do in our second example here, something like that. So we'll keep the ratio the same. The ratio of red marbles to blue marbles is 5 to 7. Red to blue. And we said that total then is going to be 12. Red marbles to blue marbles is 5 to 7. So the total is 12. If there are 156 marbles in all, how many red are there? So if there are 156 in all, how many red are there? And the book shows like a person taking their thumb and crossing out this middle column, covering it with their thumb because they don't need it. And you don't need it because you are, just like up here, we could say we know what the ratio of red to total is and blue to total is. That's what we need here. We need red to total. We don't need blue at all. So we're going to kind of cross him out and pretend he's not there. And then we still have our cross products. If I were to rewrite it as a fraction, I would say I'm using red over total. 5 over 12 equals R over 156, and either way I'm multiplying these two and saying that they will be equal. I'm setting them equal. In other words, I'm writing an equation. 5 times 156 equals 12 times R. Let's try to do this mentally here. 5 times 100 would be 500. 5 times 50 would be 250. So 500 plus 250 is 750. Plus what's left is 5 times 6 is 30. So 750 plus 30 is 780. Equals 12R. The benefits of the distributive property. We took that and said it's not to get off on too much of a tangent here, but awesome implication of mental math. 156 we break up and say this is 500 plus 250 plus 80. Now we don't have to write 30 plus 30. Now we don't have to write anything out. 780. Divide by 12. Divide by 12. Division's not as easy. This is going to be 65, but just to be certain, don't want to make a careless mistake, 12 times 6 is going to be 72. 12 times 5 is 60. So R is 65. If there are 156 total numbers, there will be 65 red ones. And we could find out how many blue ones there would be then too. It would be whatever 156 minus 65 is. 91. Let's do one more. The teams played 65 games. If the ratio of wins to losses was 3-2, so wins to losses was 3-2. The total is 3 plus 2, 5. So if we wanted to, we could write wins to total games. That would be 3-5. Losses to total games would be 2-5, and we know wins to losses is what they initially told us is 3-2, so an above 500 team. The team played 65 games, so that goes here as our total. Maybe that's their whole season. How many games did they lose? So we're trying to find this here. So in this case, the one we don't need is wins. We're not trying to find out how many we lost. Our cross products are set up then. 65 times 2 equals 5L. 65 times 2, 2 times 60 is 120, plus 2 times 5 is 10. 120 plus 10 is 130. 5L, so division. Sorry, we got to divide both sides by 5. Try that again. Getting ahead of myself with that 6. They lost 26 games. So with that information, we could also find out how many games they won. Just take 65 minus 26. Ratio boxes, adding the total column will help us solve our ratio problems for today.